So, if you haven't signed in, I'll need everybody to sign in before you leave.
Yeah.
That is much of a
You know what?
Amy Straight, can you hear?
Yes.
Keep going. What? No, he said it'd be a couple minutes late. I'm glad I don't look like very well.
Okay, we will go ahead and begin our regularly scheduled meeting of the Southeast Supreme School Board. So please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda or any changes that need to be made?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Mrs. Jenny? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, first thing on the agenda is our annual reorganization and leadership. So with my term ending in December, I am not interested in continuing in the president role, as we've talked about. Is there a motion for president?
I move that Steve Bartholomew is elected president.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jerry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Congratulations, Steve.
Where's yours?
Is this where you end and I begin?
It is, sir.
Okay. Next on our list is we need to determine our vice president.
I nominate Dwight Conley for vice president.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? No?
That's fine.
Oh, yes. Would you like to give me a gag?
I am so sorry, Laurie. I had to laugh on that.
That's good. All out it, man.
Good thing you caught that, Steve. We would have went all night like that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded for Dwight to be vice president. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right. Ooh,
Congratulations, Duke. Okay, we have.
Trey?
No, I don't go there. I go over there. He goes there.
With all of the technology, we're gonna leave it alone for tonight.
Oh, I'm grand where I'm at.
Nice.
Okay, as everybody knows, we have an extensive consent agenda for the evening.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions about what those documents are? I mean, we've all done this before, so.
I have discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if there are questions, as maybe comments on the handbooks. I would like, and the principals aren't here, so, but when Mr. Worf gets here, I would like him and Ms. Wright to look at putting something in the activities handbook about behavior policy. It doesn't have to be, it's not extensive like the other circumstantial policies are like that, but maybe something with fighting / intimidation to other students, refer to the discipline handbook, the student handbook. So I would like them to look at that, because nothing like that is mentioned in there, and I do think that's important that we have that added in there. Also, I would like for them to look at the lettering for the cheerleader. The student handbook lists that we have a football cheerleader and then a basketball cheerleader. And if that is the way it is, I think we should have 2 letters. If you do football and basketball, I think you should get a letter for each cheer, because not the same people do both of them. It's not like dance. So,
Similar to a sport, basketball.
yeah, there's football cheer and yell leaders, and then there's basketball cheer. That's how it's listed in the handbook. So I think if a person does both of them, they should get 2 letters. Then, sorry, I have some things. Other things I can just, we need to add FBLA to the student handbook as an organization. They did not add that like they did BAM and ECHO. And then on page 37, we need to remove Russell from our league. Let me make sure. I do believe that's it. That's all I have.
Jill, can we go back to your first?
What you're wanting is you're wanting some accountability and some discipline policy
For athletes outside of sports when they're in the general population and have some consequences. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, for athletes, no matter,
if they're in the school, during the school.
right, if it's, even if it's on the field or in, part of activities, part of our activities participation guidelines, we have to be in good standing. The student does, but I think to be in good standing, you need represent the school in a positive manner in appearance and behavior.
Not just, I think and in that, I think positive standing actually, would that actually in the handbook right now refer to academics and not maybe this component she's talking about?
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
But what I would like is for there to be like if Dwight, you're playing football and you get mad and push the ref, you need to serve detention when, if that's your number, how many points you have.
Yeah,
That's my point.
maybe even lose some athletic privileges for the next game.
Yes, whatever they decide is the appropriate.
I'm all on board with what you're doing. I just want to make sure we all
Yeah.
understand where we're going.
Yep.
I think we do need to fix some of the.
Yeah, because there's nothing like that in there.
So can I suggest us pull that off the consent agenda?
I was gonna say, what all do we want to pull out? The activities
The
handbook?
activities, well, the lettering is in the student handbook. So the activities handbook and the student handbook for the junior, senior high school.
Do we have any issue? We don't have any issue. We can do that next month, couldn't we? I mean, so, okay. I think that's something we need to address.
Yeah.
I move we pull off the student handbook and the student activities handbook, and approve all other items on the consent agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I didn't hear Sharice. Is she still here?
Trace, is your audio on?
Yes, is it not?
Now we can hear you.
There you are. Okay. That gets us down to our public forum for the evening. We have still 4 people to talk. And the way we do that is you get 5 minutes. We won't bother you with questions. There'll be no back and forth, so you get the floor for 5 minutes. And is there a volunteer to go first?
I'm going to need more than 5 minutes. Is that all right? I'll ask for forgiveness.
How much more?
Probably 8 or 9. You really want to cut me off?
We'd prefer to stick to the 5 minutes. We've got a lot of things to do tonight, so, and that's our practice.
And you're not willing to make an exception?
This is a pretty important situation.
Yeah.
We all get that. Well, Cheryl, you can have 8 minutes. How's that?
Oh, my.
We'll start the timer.
So yeah, you could go first. We'll do a total of 20. So we'll do a total of 20. Everyone else.
So that's
No, I was just joking.
Now, don't look at your clock.
That's standard protocol, so I'm just trying to be a good steward. Go ahead.
My name is Cheryl Murray. I live at 2225 East Magnolia Road. I've had 2 boys graduate from Southeast, and one is a junior this year. And I'm here tonight to express my concerns about COVID-19 and the resulting actions of our government over the course of the past year and a half. Can everybody hear?
Yep.
Okay. 2 weeks to flatten the curve turned into a surreal display of ever-changing health recommendations and governmental restrictions. Never before in the history of our nation has there been such widespread misuse and overreach of governmental authority. Draconian measures such as closing businesses, banning all but emergency medical procedures, and limiting our ability to freely assemble in our communities and worship in church were the new normal, all over an illness with a 99.74% survivability rate. I thank God and count my blessings every day that my family has the privilege of living in rural America, as I know our experience in no way compares to what was happening in many big cities across the country. But don't be fooled into thinking it can never happen here. Our oldest son, Aiden, is in his 3rd year at KU Med in Kansas City and had access to both researchers and frontline doctors' perspectives as this spectacle unfolded, and its insights have been interesting. I don't have time to discuss each point at length, but here are some of the main problems I have with the pandemic. Problem number 1, number of COVID-19 cases. The PCR test was never designed to diagnose illnesses, and that's according to its inventor. AIDS professors were also quite surprised that this test was used because it's highly sensitive and not very specific. For instance, if you had a common cold, which is also the coronavirus, the PCR test would pick that up. There's also some other issues with the number of cycle thresholds that was used, but I don't have time to talk about that. CDC Director Walensky recently admitted that the number of COVID deaths have been overcounted and that only 6% of those deaths, which is about 36,000, has COVID-19 as the only factor of death. 94% had multiple comorbidities or other serious illness as their primary cause of death. And I'm not saying that this is a hoax or anything, okay? I'm just saying that there are a lot of things that were going on in the last year, okay? The head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases also confirmed that COVID-19 from a clinical standpoint is similar to a severe seasonal influenza outbreak. The majority of deaths were among the elderly and chronically ill individuals, and it rarely caused death by itself. I'm also a little suspicious of the COVID numbers that are reported when you hear that our local funeral homes have been instructed by our county health department to test all the deceased for COVID. In my opinion, all of the above is how you make a pandemic, folks. Problem number 2, restricting the use of cheap therapeutic drugs. In the spring of 2020, the FDA prohibited the use of hydroxychloroquine and discouraged the use of ivermectin for the treatment of COVID-19, despite the successful use as reported by practitioners around the world. Not only that, it was banned despite a widely published and well-known 2005 NIH study that concluded chloroquine, a stronger derivative of hydroxychloroquine, has strong antiviral effects on SARS-CoV. There's a lot of blah. A lot of big words here. When used as a prophylactic or after an infection. I ask, why in heaven's name would our governmental agencies behave in such a capricious and arbitrary way by restricting these cheap and effective therapeutic protocols and promoting a vaccine as the only solution? Problem number 3, suppression of any debate or discussion which challenges the narrative. There have been many ways by which our voices have been suppressed and silenced and access to information limited. From YouTube deleting videos questioning the vaccine, Twitter suspending accounts, or Facebook fact-checking your posts, our ability to engage and share research has been stymied. America's frontline doctors even had their entire website taken down by Amazon Web Services for, believe it or not, disinformation. This is America? Big tech is certainly hard at work carrying water for big pharma and our governmental overlords, and it makes you wonder just how this will end. Problem number 4, the notion of asymptomatic spread of COVID-19 has been debunked per a CDC Commission study published this last April. Those in the medical field knew all along that asymptomatic spread never made any sense from a scientific standpoint. But think about this, what an effective tool to use to spread fear among the masses and impose and justify burdensome quarantine protocols, restrictions, and lockdowns. Let me skip a little more. Problem 5, face masks. A Stanford study commissioned by the NIH and published in November of 2020, critical of masks, was quietly placed on their website. Little to no mention by the NIH, the CDC, or the mainstream media of this stunning study and its conclusions was ever made to my knowledge. I only came across it through my own research. Let me read some of the pertinent points, and I must say, this study really lays it out there. So don't ever let anyone tell you that you are selfish for not wearing a mask, or it's merely a minor inconvenience, because it is far more than that. Here are a few points directly from the study. It is not clear what scientific and clinical basis for wearing face masks as a protective strategy is, given the fact that face masks restrict breathing, causing hypoxemia, hypercapnia, and increase the risk for respiratory complications, self-contamination, and exacerbation of existing chronic conditions. 2, in addition to the above, rebreathing contaminated air and high bacterial and toxic particle concentrations, along with low oxygen and high carbon dioxide levels, continuously challenge the body's homeostasis, causing self-toxicity and immunosuppression. Hypoxia also plays an important role in cancer burden. Please see the study that I have provided to you all for more detailed information regarding that matter. The efficacy of face masks is limited due to the fact that the virus is at least 1,000 times smaller than the smallest thread diameter and can easily pass through any face mask. I won't go into the numerous negative psychological effects, as these effects will be discussed, I'm sure, later. But there is, in the copy of that Stanford study, they do talk about that in extensive detail. Okay, I think we've probably gone over the conclusion that the masks really don't work aren't great, and they're very unhealthy. Vaccines. Again, I don't have time to fully discuss my concerns with COVID-19 vaccines, but I view the decision to participate in a clinical trial to be one that each person must make for themselves. I do not understand, however, the incredible pressure applied by so many to inject us with a novel vaccine to prevent what even our experts describe as the equivalent of the seasonal flu, especially when highly effective and inexpensive drug regimens are readily available. The constant cries and claims by government officials, and especially the media, that the vax will save your lives are ridiculous and an insult to our intelligence. And the pitting of the vax against the unvaxxed is also incredibly pernicious. Most of us know with proper support of vitamin D, C, and zinc, our good old God-given immune systems perform quite well against COVID-19 if given the chance. I certainly trust mine. One doctor said, when in the heck did the medical establishment decide that our immune systems had stopped functioning? I suspect I've been preaching to the choir tonight, and you're aware of much of what I've discussed based on your own research and discernment. But the next question is, what we must all ask ourselves is why? Why have they pushed us so hard with all the restrictions, lockdowns, mask mandates, novel vaccines for an illness no worse than the seasonal flu? I have two theories, two in particular resonate with me. One, follow the money. Big Pharma and our medical industrial complex have enormous control over so many levers of our society, and their control of our media outlets is evidenced in part by the constant stream of commercials for their pharmaceutical offerings. And two, big government always seeks more power and control and rarely gives it up once it's been acquired. So what, if anything, can we do about it? I certainly appreciate how difficult the past year and a half must have been for you all as a board and administration, navigating the many unknowns, and I am not proposing that we throw all caution to the wind. But we do now have the benefit of hindsight and so much more. Let us not allow that enlightenment to go to waste. We must stand up and say no to the mandates and restrictions that defy logic and common sense. Aiden's professors often lamented that in our germophobic, hyper-clean, and isolated new world, our children especially will pay a big price down the road. Our immune systems must be exercised and tested with various pathogens in order to develop robust responses for the future. An immunologist even told Aiden's class, make sure you let your kids play outside and roll around in the dirt a lot. He also noted that the chemicals we use to clean are often more harmful than the germs we're trying to eliminate. For our children's health and well-being, we must say no to the mask. A noted author said, forcing kids to distance at school and wear masks ensures a generation of Americans who don't know how to form human alliances, who don't trust their instincts, and who don't feel comfortable simply gathering together in a room, touching each other as friends and allies. Those are counter-revolutionary training techniques for sure. As they say, resistance dies alone. Furthermore, I feel strongly that under no circumstance should any child be held hostage, feel pressured, or be penalized for their decision not to take a novel vaccine that is still in clinical trials or to wear an unhealthy face mask. And I ask that the current quarantine policy also be scrapped. I am afraid that we are entering into an entirely new and frankly dystopian chapter of American history where an overhyped medical crisis has been and probably will be again used as a pretext to suppress our voices and erode our core freedoms. Therefore, we're counting on you, our elected local leaders, to use your God-given common sense and critical thinking skills to push back and hold the line for the benefit of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, you want to go?
Don't start my time yet. I want to do something funny. Some of you know I used to teach fourth grade out here, and I was getting ready to prepare this tonight, and I'm like, all my persuasive writing skills and the lessons that I had to give as a fourth grade teacher were haunting me this week. So you never know what you might use someday. So remember what your fourth grade teacher taught you. First of all, I want to thank each of you for your service to the Southeast community. This past year has been difficult, and I am thankful for the people making the hard decisions for our kids. I'd also like to thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. My name is Kim Veneer. I have 6 kids whom all have attended or currently attend Southeast. I taught special education and fourth grade here for 8 years. I'm currently serving on the foundation board, and I subbed over the years. I did a long-term many times, and then I've currently am subbing when they're desperate for the sub. But I love this school. I am invested here. My children have been impacted by so many fabulous people over the years. I care too much about my teacher friends, my kids, and the students I teach to remain silent any longer about the negative effects of COVID protocols in our school last year. Tonight I will address you with my substitute teacher hat on, mainly because over the past year I heard from so many teachers who desperately wanted a voice and they felt like they didn't have one. I will also try to give a voice to the students. Throughout all of this, they have been forced to accept policies and procedures that most of the time never made sense. I decided to sub last fall to help out the school because I knew they'd be short on teachers. I spent a day in a high school classroom. It was startling. What used to be full of group projects, hands-on learning, interactions with bubbly, talkative high school students was now lifeless, faceless zombies who spent the entire hour-and-a-half class period crouched behind their computer screen. There was no classroom banter or engaged conversation, just kids forced to stay silent behind their masks and work by themselves. It wasn't until we took a mask break and went for a walk outside that my class came to life, and I got to actually interact with the students, which is what I thrive on. Within 20 yards of being outside on the track, two girls who I had never met before came up and started walking beside me. It was at this point that I fully began to realize how much these girls had been affected by the measures taken at our school. They proceeded to tell me how lonely they were. They told me they hated their masks, they hated not being able to talk to their friends at the lunch table, they hated being forced to social distance, and they hated the constant quarantining and the inconsistencies that went with it. My heart broke because none of it made sense to me. It was so unnecessary. These kids were being asked to shoulder the burden of a virus that affects less than 99.997% of our youth. My second studying experience was in an elementary classroom. The classroom had lost its fun vibe from the year before because there were no extras on the walls, no games were in the classroom for kids to play, no group projects, and no sharing of anything. Chemicals were sprayed every hour in between classes. When we took mask breaks outside, the kids would try to get in their groups with their friends and talk, and the teachers would yell out, seriously, every minute or so, keep it 6 feet apart. The amount of time wasted in an hour reminding kids to social distance or put their mask up was shocking. At one point, 3 boys began to run around and chase each other, just playing normal preteen boys playing games. One boy tagged the other boy. Immediately, the teacher blew her whistle, got upset with the boy because he touched the other boy. I was flabbergasted. A boy just got chastened for playing tag outside in an elementary school. Is this what our kids should be getting in trouble for? Let me be clear, this was not the teacher's fault. The teacher was following the rules that have been created by our administration. Is this the type of school environment that we expect our students and teachers to thrive in? I don't think it is. Every day, teachers went through these types of scenarios for the entire school year. The morale of the students and the teachers suffered this year, and I experienced firsthand why it did. I'd like to ask the board, does the risk of COVID-19 outweigh the reward of running a normal school year? 99.997% of our kids will have no complications from COVID-19, and 99.5% of adults will not as well. Does that slim chance of complications mean we change everything we know about how we help students be successful? We are throwing away so many of the things that are good and positive for students. We are replacing them with things that are damaging. This is data we cannot deny, and yet even though we hear these statistics, we still insist on setting up insane protocols that are created purely to make us feel better about doing something. The masking, chemical spraying, temperature taking, social distancing, eating behind plexiglass, and being policed all day by teachers and bus drivers, so pull up your mask, is not in the best interest of our students. The expectations that we are putting on our teachers and the staff is unbearable. We all have to accept a normal level of risk in our lives to be able to live. Whether it's taking the risk to go out in this world and deal with germs and viruses, or it's playing on this playground, or competing in school sports, or driving out here every day. To live life, you have to take risks. We have to stop living afraid. I respect any parent who chooses masks for their family, but I want the SES administration to acknowledge and respect my decision in not masking my family. I implore you to use common sense and to please look into what is truly best for our kids and teachers before you consider making policies for our school district this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Heinrich?
Evening, board members, and My name is Reed Tyner, and I have been an in-district student at South Lane since 2015, and I'll be entering 6th grade in fall. In March of 2020, the world was introduced to a major pandemic, and our normal everyday lives changed. At the time, they asked us to stay home for 2 weeks to stop the virus and flatten the curve. That 2 weeks turned into not coming back to school and introduced us to virtual learning. We were also forced to wear masks if and when we left the house. And now here we are, 70 weeks later, still being asked for masks. In speaking this last week with my classmates, I asked them what made mask wearing so miserable for them. These are the most popular responses: headaches, rash on the chin and mouth, difficulty breathing, unable to hear the person that was speaking because they were wearing a mask, bloody noses, and fogging up. All the issues above made it very difficult for our students to learn. At the same time, teachers were also finding it difficult to teach because the masks were also a big distraction for us. To summarize, Southeast Lane did an amazing job keeping us safe last school year. We had amazing teachers who had to relearn how to teach us under the difficult circumstances. And we also had amazing parents who had to help fill in the gaps when we were sent home to quarantine. The one thing we have learned about this virus is that it's never going to go away. And we need to stop being afraid of getting sick. We are kids, we get sick, and that's how our body learns to fight. Throwing the mask away at the end of the year was the best feeling ever. And please consider that there are many other health issues being fought all year that are way worse than having COVID-19. Thank you for your time and letting me speak.
Hi, my name is Laurie Mcfadden. I live at 2812 East Broadway. I'm a new parent to the Southeast. I have other kids at South as well, but we moved into district, and Madeline is my daughter and absolutely loves it here with her friends. So thank you for allowing us to be here. I realize as a school board, there's no way to make everyone happy with any policy. But I am here to let you know my stance on the possibility of a mandatory mask mandate at any point throughout the school year. My family is against the mandatory mask mandate, and we are hoping you will consider mask as optional for students and staff for the entire year. When does the fear of physical illness outweigh the actual mental or physical illness or lack of connection of our kids? Making connections with students at the beginning of the school year can help develop positive and productive learning environments, establish positive relationships with students, and develop trust and respect in the classroom. If the children cannot see their teacher's face or other children's smiles, there is a negative impact, and a simple smile can change the day for any child. My family has personally dealt with new mental health issues this year for 2 of our teenagers. And this has included anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and again, all of these issues can be reduced by kids simply connecting more at school. This has been extremely scary for my family this year. Again, it is new. What we have learned in trying to help our children was that all counseling, therapists, and psychologists in the surrounding area are completely overwhelmed with new cases this year alone. My husband, in fact, started a new position as a Christian counselor within the last year just due to the increase, especially in youth. When kids don't have to wear masks, they can connect more with others, and connecting with others is more important than you would ever think. Social connection can lower the anxiety, it can lower the depression, and can help us regulate our emotions. It leads to higher self-esteem, empathy, and actually improve our immune system. By neglecting our need to connect, we put our own health at risk. I hope you will consider our mental health just as important as the fear of a physical illness. Thank you.
Okay. Next on our list is our COVID reopening plan for next year. I assume you've all had a chance to read that.
Document has been provided for you. In summary, it removes everything that is required and replaces it with optional. There are no changes to the quarantine protocols, though, as those follow the guidelines, including county health. The school gating committee that functioned last year reduced how often it met towards the end of the school year and would still be on call to address changing conditions should they arise.
Are you going to start a normal review meeting schedule as the school year starts? And
we will need to meet before school starts, and then we'll discuss how often we need to meet thereafter.
Any questions?
So face coverings are optional. Okay.
As of right now,
Who will have a say-so if that changes? Gating committee or us as a board?
the gating committee will make that recommendation, yes.
I would like the opportunity to vote on that at that time as a school board member.
I'll just be honest with you, the trouble is we don't have a month sometimes to react. This was very fluid. I don't want to defend or not defend wearing a mask. Nobody likes that, but this was all very fluid last year, and we gave that committee the authority to do that last year so that we could be reactive without waiting till the next school board meeting.
Okay. So are we going to keep the same committee or are we going to get new committee members?
As far as I know, we'll keep the same ones unless there's somebody else that wants to get off and somebody new that wants to get on.
Well, if you're not going to give them a chance to vote, sure, I want on.
that's our decision, Dwight.
Well,
We make our decision tonight,
That's fine.
whether we give them the same power as we've had, as they've had, or
If somebody wants off, I want on.
if you went on, I think you can be on. There's only 2 people on there,
There's 2 board members on
so
there
we won't be in
currently.
violation of comment.
2 board.
2 board
2
members.
board members.
Just would you like to address who's on that committee?
There's about 13, give or take. You have a couple board members, some administrators, some elementary teachers, some secondary teachers, and then of course the school nurse.
Is there any
No
parents? No parents?
There are not. We need parents.
Well, there's 2
Well,
board members.
hold on. This is not an open forum discussion. You've all had your chance to speak. This is a board meeting at this point. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to listen. But it's not a question and answer session. Go ahead, Roger.
And that, I think I named basically every category. So there's representation from each of the different groups, levels.
Do we have any need that anybody can think of to have a parent?
Well, you're a parent, and Sharice is a parent,
I agree.
and we have teachers who are parents
I agree.
that are living with it also. So that's up to you guys.
I guess I feel that since it has, to me, like the situation has changed. It's a different variant, things are different, and I feel like we need not a total different committee, but to switch in and out some of the committee members so we have a fair playing field. I know I've talked to teachers who don't want to wear masks. So I don't know, don't have any idea of who represents who, whatever. But I'm saying I just want everyone's voices heard. And I don't know if the current committee is all pro mask or, I just want it to be represented fairly with a lot of people who are not in favor of the mask, I guess. And I was very surprised when I went through this and found that we're still screening daily prior to entering the building. I didn't know that that was necessary. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I was very surprised at when I read the reopening plan.
You know, I can see, you know, screening, if it's taking temperatures, is not a bad thing to check temperatures of students for a myriad of reasons as they enter the building. I can see that. I mean, I can see value also in, we have a lot of medical professionals that happen to be parents also. I don't think it would be bad to have a couple of them on, because they can probably steer us through some of what's of the medical side of it too.
All the other committees that I've ever seen go through this board have had parents on it before I was even a board member. When it went to redoing the school, there was parents on that stuff. I mean,
I understand if we get too many, it's going to make it tough. Too many is not probably good either. So,
Well, I'll just say that the entire interest, whether you were a parent, a board member, a teacher, or an administrator, the sole purpose was to keep kids safe and keep this building open through last year. I don't think, I made it to all but one or two of the meetings, and I don't ever recall hearing anybody standing up saying, I don't want to wear a mask, and I don't ever remember anybody standing up saying we have to wear a mask. Well, what we all shot for was to keep the doors in this building open, because that's where our kids will do the best.
If you're a teacher, you're important.
the other thing too to think through is this was our first time through. We know a lot more. The data that was presented to us tonight in the thought process, we didn't know that. We were going off of what an expert told us, that masks work and we're gonna die if we don't wear a mask. That has changed.
That was never true.
Well,
We didn't know. Well, I mean, it was our first time through.
like I said, the goal was to keep kids safe and the doors open. And we did that. And that was the goal of the gating committee.
So our current reopening plan is not a required mask situation.
No.
I like the plan. The only thing I question is the need for the daily temperature checking. We didn't catch a single student through that process last year. To me, that seems like a complete waste of taxpayer dollars.
I mean, you would catch them for a myriad of reasons, so Laurie. I mean,
Yeah, I'm just saying, it seems like a waste of dollar bills, in my opinion, to do that level, given where we are right now. That's one of the issues with the reopening plan that I don't see as necessary. Now, it's just the walking through the door thing where you're not investing staff. That's a different thing than where we were starting the year and we were doing the manual checks.
that equipment's already in place. You know, but
At most stores, or just these? Okay.
you know, one thing that I always thought of though, Laurie, you know, we had this discussion about getting on the bus. I guarantee if I'm a parent and I know you're going to check that kid, and I think the kid doesn't feel quite right, I'm going to check them there first, rather than let them go all the way to school. And I think that was one of the very effective things was telling them they got to turn around and go right back up that driveway, even if it was the flu and everything else. That to me was actually a very effective deterrent to bringing anything to this school.
So you're saying that we should have bus drivers doing that still?
In my opinion, I don't see it as a big problem to have them do that.
Because it's not in this plan.
It's not in this plan, and we stopped that. Yeah.
And that was over my objection too, and I never got to vote on that either.
Go ahead.
What I'm hearing tonight is that our board wants to have final vote once the gating committee makes the recommendation, which means we as board members have to make the commitment. The gating committee meets on Tuesday and that recommendation is happening, that we can do a Zoom call and we can make a public vote quickly if our medical situation changes.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, you know, Zoom, I mean, we can, yeah, if we can, I don't know why we
How detailed of a change is the board gonna need to be involved in?
If we were going to tell them that they had to wear masks, I think we need to be involved.
Yeah, the other,
If we were gonna change athletics, I think we ought to be involved.
Change athletics.
Well, if we were gonna say, hey, it's too dangerous to go play somewhere, then I think we ought to all be involved.
I think that's why we pay administrators personally, but
Yeah,
that's,
and all three administrators were
Sure. I mean,
on that committee.
that's, I mean, we all get elected too.
we get elected to set policy. So if we want to change policy, and if we don't want our gating committee to
That would
have
be a
that,
policy change.
if we don't want our gating committee to have the authority to change anything within the plan, then we need to make that motion tonight.
back to the reopening plan, confirmed case of COVID-19 in the school building. Option number 2, the school will close for a minimum of 2 to 5 days. Activities will be canceled, so on and so forth. Did we had cases last year in the building, didn't we? But we didn't close down.
Option was not the only option. We did not close down. That really allows the flexibility to adjust to degrees of exposure or numbers of exposures, or schools across Kansas have shut down for
Oh, yeah.
flu outbreaks.
Yeah,
for
I know.
days and weeks at a time. So it's all based on severity and levels, and that just gives option.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, because to me, I guess I just look at it as the flu now, because I know little ones that have unfortunately lost their lives to the flu, or who have permanent damage. So that's how I look at this. And I do want, if there has to be extreme mandates, I do think that the board it should be brought to the board. So I would like to make that motion. If the gating committee has a recommendation, that it is brought to the board. If something's going to change is already in the reopening plan throughout the school year.
Okay.
But you are accepting the reopening plan as it's written, with the caveat that the gating committee does not have the authority to make any changes without board permission.
Do you want to say increasing any restrictions? Do you want to give them the ability to decrease restrictions?
Oh, I don't think they'll decrease restrictions, but yeah, I guess the only thing I'm with Laurie. But if the screening is up above, I just didn't want that to take time out of us getting into the school building. So that's why I was surprised on the screening daily. But I would say any changes, because even if it's a decrease, but it's something that we don't know what's going to happen. But if it's something that's happened, and then we also feel like, well, that we can't let up on that, or we can, then I think we need to be made aware of it.
I'll reaffirm my second.
Starting to not see the value of the committee then.
Well, they do give us recommendations. I mean,
That's what all committees are. That's what we're on a committee together, Steve. So,
Okay, well, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, next on our list is an equipment purchase. Chevy Equinox from the state bid list.
we traveled a lot less miles last year and had budgeted to have several purchases for transportation that for various reasons, we just did not move forward with that during the school year. We do have some vehicle purchases that are prudent to make. We are recommending that the driver's ed car be retired for that purpose. It has served its duty, especially considering it was used when we purchased it. And so it is time to start looking forward and making some more purchases. Problem is, there's a long waiting list for a lot of vehicles. So there are two vehicles that we're looking at for immediate purchase, which immediate in this day and age means 3 to 6 months. The Chevy Equinox has served us extremely well. It is very economical in both ownership and purchase price, and is still on the state bid list. So I am asking for your approval to go ahead and confirm our order for that vehicle, assuming it gets delivered eventually to us.
What?
The other vehicle that we have been looking at for a little while now is a Ford Transit van. It is roomier than the Suburbans and Expeditions that we are currently using. And it is becoming a very popular vehicle. Again, it is very much on the wait list, and it was so much on the wait list that it fell off the state bid list. We have a bid from Laurie McFadden. They will let us know if one's on the way. We can either choose to purchase, so I will bring that back to you. They have said that they are willing to, they've got no problem selling it. They will reserve it for us, and we can choose. So at this point, I'm only asking for confirmation of the Equinox bid from the state bid.
I move to purchase the Chevy Equinox from the state bid list as presented.
Oh, I just have did I miss what year it is? But will it be a 22 then? If it's 3 to 6 months? Because I just didn't see it on here, so I didn't know where they are at in their manufacturing.
Go with chip, it could be 21.
Thank you, China.
Roger, so that maybe everybody's kind of edification that transit helps us because we can have regular licensed drivers drive it. Is that what I remember?
The Transit is a regular vehicle. It is just the new version of a van.
Right.
And so it is a regular certification to drive it. I believe it is 10 passenger, whereas the
11 gets you.
Suburbans are 9s and the Expeditions are 8.
But the 11 gets you in trouble, correct?
You can't have 12 and nobody makes an 11. So
Okay.
yeah, it really is kind of it's kind of a weird law because they all make 10s and 14s and 12s for women.
Are you concerned about approving that tonight because you don't know exactly what it will cost?
We do have a bid from Long MacArthur on that vehicle, but that vehicle in particular has had supply chain issues and it is likely to be longer. I'm okay with bringing that back to you. The other issue is,
Okay.
the hope is it will come back on the state bid list.
Which helps us.
Given time, if it starts to catch up with supply.
50,000, 40?
It was in the 30s, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well.
And we're going to put more miles. We expect to put more miles this year, and some of our, it's just normal rotation.
I'm willing to vote yes on something like that ahead of time, but if you want to wait, that's fine with me.
I'm okay with waiting on that one because I'm expecting it to be a long wait.
Okay. Okay, we've got a motion for the Equinox.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of purchasing the Chevy Equinox when available
Aye.
say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. All right. We're down to our classified salary schedule.
5 minutes, right?
We're gonna adjourn for 5 minutes to take a leg stretch break.
Water or soda?
No, I don't.
All right, folks, appreciate you.
Like, that's why I'm Yes, I would love to. I am going to offer a discount on people running for public office. So I will be emailing out addresses. I will. I will do that to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. How are you?
Hi. I feel like over there. Second of all. Can
Kenny's like, they're all following me.
I didn't invite
Did you
him.
go shake hands? Say hi, I'm Kitty Cox again, I want your vote. You could have, it's not illegal, we're not a voting poll. You should start wearing Kitty for 306 shirts.
Whole shirt? Put it on my car, a wrap on my car for work.
Right.
Okay. Let's, we need to get back in session.
We're ready? You try to pull it.
The next topic we have is classified salary schedule. All had a chance to look at the salary schedule that Roger proposed with raises for all the classified folks and administrators, salaried folks. Is there any discussion, questions on that?
No.
I'm classified, correct?
Yeah, and if we are going to get into deep discussion, it probably should be tabled until after an executive session. If you are okay with that as presented, we can move forward, but that is going to be your discretion.
Roger had a good clarification for me. I was confused about the column that shows the difference on the far right-hand side. And it's a difference above or below the average 2.2%.
Certainly not year over year.
It's not the,
Again, if we'd like to get into deeper detail, we can table it until after executive session. This was released previously, and we can discuss it further, or we can move on.
Your turn.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
do you need a motion for that, Kelsey?
Well, and that depends on what you mean by tabling. If you'd like to table it until after the executive personnel session, that would be my preference. We can come back to it and still address it yet tonight.
We table it until after executive session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Board members, Roger's gonna talk to us about revenue neutral rate and budget.
This has been a huge challenge for us. Essentially, what we would take nearly a month to do budgeting, they have compressed it into 2 weeks with this legislation. So we have worked very hard to get to a position where we are in now. And I've given you a bunch of budgetary things, including budget transfers and where we're at. We have to publish, and it is due tomorrow, whether or not we will exceed a revenue neutral rate. And you have the published thing on your attachment. The one rate that is glaringly not revenue neutral is the general fund. And by law, we cannot collect less than 20 mils because it goes straight to the state. And revenue neutral is 19.09 mils according to the county treasurer. And by law, we have to collect 20. So even if we wanted to, we could not be revenue neutral in that case. All the other funds are revenue neutral, or within dollars, really, of being revenue neutral. So we have been extremely frugal with our funds. The budget that we worked on, we went to Topeka today to review with the advisors there just to make sure that we were seeing everything. Represents a slight decrease in mills from last year. It is a continuation of a long, slow decline in our mills collected. That budget per se does not have to be passed today, but I have to have a motion on the revenue neutral to go to the county to be published today, because it is due by law tomorrow. We've talked about several different things that are on here. The net revenue neutral rate as presented has a specific resolution that is below. What we have done previously is just to move to approve the resolution that's below, just because it's a lot of whereases and what fors, and that will suffice. Our capital outlay mill levy is also something we can approve for tonight. I need to get the budget done and move forward. And then, of course, we've already talked about setting the dollar amount for the local option budget, and that dollar amount has been discussed for a couple of months now as part of negotiations as well. So I need to start making these things official so that we can start publishing and wrapping up and finalizing these budgets.
Well, okay, I move to approve the resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate as presented. Do I have to say the resolution? Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And so once that is published by the county, that becomes our maximum. It is possible, if we so choose, that we can go below that. And in fact, we probably will, because every year, these numbers are based on estimates. And each year I've done this, when the actuals come out, they always come out slightly lower, and that's fine. They just can't be slightly higher. For example, the capital outlay was passed at 6 mills last year. The actual we collected was 5.988. The difference there was valuations came in slightly higher than estimates. And so once you approve that, they project how many mills it will take, and if valuations come in high, it becomes a little less.
If I remember correctly, the 1.62 LOB, that's basically what it is today.
It's off by like $2,000
Right.
from this last year.
That would be basically.
I move to approve 5.9 mils for capital outlay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We have one more.
I move to approve the appropriate mills to levy 1.62 in local option budget.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Board of Education Communications.
Oh,
I will just start out by,
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about you, but
Oh.
I was just gonna start out by saying thank you to Laurie. I know she's not out the door yet, but
I'm not going anywhere.
13 years, 15 years, 13 years, she's served on the board and been a huge help to this district, and it's appreciated.
And
Enjoyed every minute.
made us known nationally, really, because the state went national. So yes, thank you, Laurie.
That's good. Okay, this is what I want to share. Help me lift this up.
The board.
This is the board that was designed to acknowledge our 20-year
Oh, nice. Did you design that?
employees. And so they did go back to the beginning of when the building was opened. And so every employee that's worked 20 or more years is on here.
That is awesome.
And it looks so good.
Yes, sir.
So,
Very nice.
thank you. I think we did that, Anna.
3 people on there now. I think, if I counted correctly.
Say that again.
83.
83. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for thinking of that and doing that, Kelsey.
And then which wall is it going to go on?
It will go on where the 20-year retirement plaques are.
Okay,
It'll go on that wall.
cool.
Very pretty.
I hope we continue our year-end celebration like we did last year. It was a really fun event, and I've heard people all summer talk about it, so that was a good addition. Also, our KSB, well, I'll wait for Dwight to get back. I hope we can go this year.
We'll just have to.
Listen.
It's November?
Yeah, they moved it up.
Okay.
So we were getting feedback, attendance has kind of been waning a little bit. So they did a survey.
That's a good idea.
So they moved it up to November 5th through 7th instead of in December.
That would probably work.
Registration actually opens today. So if you think you might go, let Kelsey know because we need to get rooms reserved. It's at Overland Park, Sheraton.
November.
November 5th through the 7th. It's a Friday through a Sunday. And even if you could just go Saturday.
Like go Friday, yeah.
Friday night will be the opening session and dinner. And then Saturday will be the learning sessions. We've got great keynote speakers. If you could go and be there the whole day on Friday, it's my favorite part. It's called Meeting All Kids' Needs, and you get to tour other school districts and see teachers practicing their strategies, watching kids learn. It is
Dwight, they moved it up for you. November.
So if you think you may be interested in attending, let Kelsey know tonight so she can book a room. Otherwise, because those rooms fill up, they might even already be filled up. You don't need to book my room. It's already been done with KSB. And my registration is included, so.
Anything else?
I've just been with you for the last month, so I don't really have much.
Like better company. Okay, that brings us to our superintendent's report.
I've been giving regular updates along the way. It has been a very busy summer and very hectic as we go through some of these things. Again, the budget has not been, the new regulations have not been friendly towards administrators. So we have pulled the budget together as quickly as we could, and we have some little minor details to correct there before the full budget is approved. Because we are exceeding the revenue rate, like 99.5% of the districts in Kansas will, because again, by law, we can't collect less than 20 mils from the general fund. And pretty much every district in the state, some very few exceptions, will do that. But what that does is it pushes the date for which we have to have our budget approved into September. They gave us a little more time because now we have to have a revenue neutral hearing. We will publish, as approved tonight, the revenue neutral rate, and we will set that hearing. Right now, we have 3 meetings in August. We will have one hopefully short after enrollment is done, as approved on the agenda. Please check those dates and make sure that you're available first Thursday in August. We will have a regular board meeting the second Monday in August, and then August also has 5 Mondays. So, with your permission, I would like to have the revenue neutral hearing and the budget hearing on that 5th Monday, both of which will likely to be short, but it will allow us to have it right within that window and get our budget approved. Now I'm going to take a couple of days off.
Oh, and to backtrack real quick, if anybody's wondering where their calendar is off their phone, Andy is working on it, and we have an app now if you haven't downloaded it, and the calendar is easy to access on there, but he said eventually we'll have a Google link that we should be able to send to our phone so it can be downloaded, but he's still working on that part.
Last time it was still in transit, so I'm glad it's live, the website. The app is.
The website is live. It needs some tweaking. Anytime you roll over an old format to a new format, things get jumbled. But we also have an app now. So if you get into the App Store or Google Play Store and search Southeast of Saline Ministry 306, you will see our Trojan Head pop up, and you can download an app, and you can sign up for push notifications. And now when school is out, you can get a phone call, you can get an email, you can have your phone ding and say, and your kids can have their phones ding because they woke up, so they can quit hounding you and they can get their own.
Yeah, so
directly.
It was Sharice's thing was like, she could never get the calendar, and I noticed mine was gone, but then I found the app like the next day after we talked about it, and the calendar's there, so at least we have access to when our meetings are.
Last week, we were trying to set meeting days, and we're like, couldn't get to work.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, you caught us right in that transition, and we're getting some of those little bugs worked out. Online enrollment opens today. I enrolled mine this morning, found 1 or 2 little glitches, and we'll hopefully get those cleaned up today and tomorrow. But it didn't prevent me from doing it. It just weird things. It preloaded the United States of America as country of birth, but then highlighted it red, because in the drop-down menu, it is listed as United States. And so it didn't recognize the of America in one, and when I picked it out of the drop-down menu, it cleared out the red box and everything was fine. So minor little glitches.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you. Okay.
I know the other thing.
Please download the app.
I should have said under board communications. KSB is going to be promoting a Take Your Legislator to School Day. We've always had Stephen and invited our local officials to come to our November meeting, but they're promoting within the month of November to invite them into our schools and take them on tours and have to meet school lunch. I think it'd be a great thing to do in coordination, and they'll be pushing out that date. I don't know exactly what the date is. I did a promo on it today that's more evergreen, but maybe just during the month of November, if you want to meet with administrators and see what that month looks like.
Busy like every other one.
Yeah, they'll cross their eyes and think, oh, one more thing. Or if is it Grandparent Day year?
Should be.
That would be a great day to have our legislators in the building.
It'd be a little overwhelming. They can see how things really work.
Well, to give them access to a lot of patrons is what I'm thinking, though. That'd be good.
Okay. Anything else?
That I can think of.
Well, we're
See you later.
ready to start executive sessions. First on our list is student matters. Does anybody like to make a motion? Thank you, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
I move we go into executive session for student matters, 10.
Kelsey, 10.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
1, 2, you were in favor, right, Sharice?
Yes.
Okay, I was just delayed.
And I gotta figure out how to bring Sharice in, so I think I'm gonna have
No,
to take you out and bring in you
So then
guys.
that Monday too, yeah. So
What time?
7:58, thank you.
not the 9th, the 5th.
Bye.
Good job, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Leslie.
That's 16th, 30th. Good thing I asked you. You straightened me out.
And I'm gonna have to kick you, I think, and I gotta figure out how to do it. I haven't had this for a little bit. Let's see.
I know, I think we used the restroom while he's figuring that out.
Oh, I can find.
Butter and pumpkin.
There's Andy.
Okay. Andy has joined, so we are back public again. And you are able to move on.
I move we go into executive session for matters of personnel for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nice. Hang with us, Sharice.
Okay.
11?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, Andy. I'll do this again. 10.
on an immediate basis. Sometimes I work for them,
Sandy?
and it's always texting me, and I'm like, oh.
Okay, Andy is now online. I'm going to stop the minutes here for a second. We are in open session.
I move we approve the hires as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, let's go back to 5.3, our classified salary schedule.
Okay, I move to add a quarter to the classified base and approve the classified and non-teacher salaries as presented.
Second. Sorry, I was late.
That's all right. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we got you, Sharice. Sorry.
Okay.
So here I got it. I move,
7.2, we did?
yeah, I'm going to 8.3.
Yeah. 8.3,
I move to approve the list of out-of-district applications as presented.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Oh, we almost.
All right, go away, Sharice,
You're
go
free-
play at the lake.
Free to carry on, Sharice.
Have fun. See ya.
Oh, I'm still not close enough.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
we're out of here at 9. Wow, what a record.